to get into the turret, he's going to release this lever here.
Bogey, 5 o'clock low.
3 o'clock low.
The operator in the turret can't actually reach the trigger of the gun. He's going to use an electrical solenoid. If it was just a hard line running out, that line will twist up and bind and kink and actually block his flow of air. So I'm sitting on the floor of the top turret in Memphis Belle, and this is actually a very rare look at a piece of gun turret, because most of the flying airworthy B-17s that you see today have the top turret removed, and also they all fly under oxygen level and their oxygen bottles are removed. So a lot of the footage you might see out there, it's been removed. This is 100% complete. And you can see why they removed it. It is very cramped. But some of the functions you can note right away from the top turret is, one, his ammunition feed system for each gun. And then he's also got the spent round and spent leak sacks. So mechanically, you could see a problem if those guns are dumping out empty Lincoln ammo and it's going all over the floor. It's going to create problems for either, just like in a tank, a bind in a turret, or further problems for control lines and other functions of the aircraft. Zach, if you can take a second to talk about what you said about the flight engineer. This isn't actually his station, if you will.
Yeah, so it's his combat station, but during normal flight operations, he would actually stand with his feet over this gap, and he could rest his arms on the back of the seats here, and you actually see, if you come up here, there's wear just on the tips where he'd put his elbows, and he would help the pilots by looking at dials, looking at engine gauges, stuff like that. So it's just another guy to monitor.
So a flight engineer is another way of saying like a mechanic?
He would be like the onboard mechanic. He knows the most about the engines and the systems that are on the aircraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pilots fly the airplane. He is more of a systems guy.
Okay.
Rascal, there's nothing wrong with the ball turret.
Don't worry your pretty head about it, Burge.
I'm just doing my job, Rascal.
Oh, now you do it? Thanks a lot, buddy.
I'm on him.
This is a really good chance to demonstrate how this station actually works. So when we're not in combat and the flight engineer has to move to the rear of the aircraft, he's got to be able to pass through this section. So the oxygen bottle is actually stowed upwards. Another reason the oxygen bottle would be in the turret with him is because as a turret's spinning, unless you have the correct fittings for the lines to swivel with the turret, if it was just a hard line running out, that line will twist up and bind and kink and actually block his flow of air. So that's a pretty good explanation as to why he's got oxygen in the turret with him. But to get into the turret, he's going to release this lever here, and the oxygen is now going to be stowed in between his legs, and then he's going to climb up into the turret. So you need to be on that side of the belt, which I'm going to remove the belt for now. And this is his seat. He just sits on this strap, which is crazy. A study was done from November 1942 till December 1943 that studied specifically heavy bombers above Europe for the Army Air Forces, and the study was done for medical support and with the goal to consider the crew members in the plane most susceptible to both injury from ground flak and fighter interceptor aircraft. And the goal of the study was done to look at which places in the plane would be best suited to add additional armor to protect the crews. Once the study was done, it outlined the most susceptible to injury and death positions within the aircraft.
Of the 1,293 incidences of wound or death, the upper turret gunner or top turret gunner suffered 102 incidences, putting him at about 8% for the total losses, which is somewhere towards the middle bottom of the graph and the most dangerous place to be within the plane.
So some of the basic components of his top turret, like any other turret. Over here we have our electrical selector switch. People think, oh, it's a machine gun. Why is it electrical? Well, because the operator in the turret can't actually reach the trigger of the gun, he's going to use an electrical solenoid. So the main switch is going to provide power to your solenoid systems, and then he's got a selector switch where he can isolate and choose to have one gun solenoid on or off at a time. I would assume that that's for servicing purposes, or perhaps if you have a jam, you can still turn one side off or not. You can get a better view here of his feed system, and then there would also be feed chutes that actually assist the link moving up into the gun. His gunner's quadrant right here in front of him, essentially where he's sitting. And then he even has the ability to manually, like any turret that's electrical or hydraulic, there's always a manual override. And then the top turret, his oxygen system. But other than that, it is a very basic setup. He would also have, which you can't see at the minute, charging cables. So if the guns do jam, he does have limited opportunity to try to clear the jam, and he can't actually reach near the gun to cock it manually. So there'll be a series of pulleys he can try to charge the gun and at least clear the jam. Alternatively, they may put the guns in essentially the load position where there's no round inside the chamber, and then whenever they're cleared to go live, they can charge the guns and actually put a round in the chamber. So the guns are still safe during takeoff, and I would envisage that as the drill. You can also see here his azimuth indicator, which leads to here. So an azimuth, essentially, when he's in the heat of battle or he's aimed directly up, he might not know the position of the turret in relation to the plane itself. The azimuth runs a little gauge that'll tell you where you're orientated in accordance with 12 o'clock on the plane, and that's done mechanically, kind of like a revolutions cable. But as that spins, that'll spin a gauge and tell you where you're aimed. It might be dark outside, or you might not be able to see the plane, and that'll help you assist with that. Additionally, he might get a target indication that would say for example, fighters 3 o'clock, and he might be, again, in the heat of the moment, not know where 3 o'clock is because he can't see the plane. All he needs to do is look at his azimuth gauge, and he can know when he's traversed to 3 o'clock.
Got him in my sights, Lieutenant. Monkey, far high, Daddy, see him?
2 more, 12 o'clock high, coming fast.
Give me 109 going down to 11.
Man, it's 65. I'm on him. Reagan at 7. 2 o'clock. Watch him, Wisco. 9 o'clock high. 290 is 12 o'clock high. Not Reagan 5.
Free fighters, 9 o'clock, coming around. Keep your eyes on him, Jack. I'm sorry, watch the sky at 11 high. Can't reach him. Got him in my sights, Lieutenant.